Hi there. Well, it's a lovely day. It's been raining solidly for 2 days and it's going to rain again later. But for the time being, it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm having a quick go on this pasture. I've dug one signal. I know I've said this a bit recently, but it is true. But it's because I'm being very disciplined about the signals I'm digging. I've done one signal and it's a lovely way to start because it's a tiny little Roman coin. And on top of that, it's barbarous. Now, I've done a bit of a video about barbarous coins quite recently, which I will put in the description below because they're quite interesting. But generally speaking, my general rule is if your emperor looks pointy and witchy, then more than likely you've got a barbarous coin. They're sort of cruder depictions of both the emperor and whatever's on the other side. But this is just a lovely little coin, and it's just a really lovely way to start the day. Hooray! As I said, it's going to dump it down with rain any minute, so we've just got to sort of chance our luck a bit here today. Well, this is a nice wispy signal which I've started digging. You would have seen me do that bit, but I forgot to switch the camera on. But that's perfect for this field now. And I can just feel my shovel starting to give slightly. I've probably had this one for about 2 years. They're not necessarily the most robust. They will break eventually, I've always found. But they can take a hell of a lot of use and they're not expensive. There's about as much brand loyalty in shovels as there are in metal detectors. But I love these. They're cheap, they're strong. As I said, they do tend to go eventually, but they're light. I can carry it all day. It's not too small, it's not too tall. I don't have to hold it up here and bang the things. It's just the best shovel. There's a link to it in the description, as with all the equipment I use, in case you're interested. Now, I don't want to call this too early, but that couldn't be a better signal, that in this field. It's deep and wispy and small. It's not a cartridge, I don't think, or a rifle casing, that are quite deep in this field sometimes. I always tell you when I'm pinpointing well, and I tell you when I'm pinpointing badly, and that's not great. It's in the side there. Just here. My God, I'm well off. In pasture, I don't like to keep making the hole deep, bigger and bigger. I prefer to get it from the inside. You make less mess that way. Well, I found it. God, that was deep for that. It's a little ship halfpenny. It's a Queen Elizabeth one. I didn't know they were made in her time. I thought they were a little bit earlier than that. But anyway, that's what it is. Good signal, that's what we need to go for. Well, in the ground, that gave a very dull sound. I mean, almost like foil. Can you hear low and sort of soft? It was quite deep, and my God, now, not groundbreaking, but part of something which I reckon that must be Saxon. God knows what it is, what it's part of. But it looks like it's got enameling. It looks like it would have gone all the way round in some sort of circle or some sort of, I mean, that's just gorgeous. It sounded like a really, really nasty bit of cartridge. That's what it sounded like. And that's probably why I haven't dug it before and I've left it. But God, I wonder what that was part of. And God, I wonder if the rest of it's down there. Quite an early break by the look of things. That's what we say in furniture. in the antiques trade. Early break. Not yesterday. But gosh, I'm thrilled with that. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Hopefully I will have had this researched by the time the video comes out and we'll know what it is. Hi there and welcome to headquarters. We don't usually come here on HolzHammer LITE because the videos are supposed to be short and snappy, and therefore you don't want to hear me banging on or waffling on about stuff. But we had to very quickly for this because, as it turns out, it's a lot earlier than I thought it was. I was guessing Saxon, and actually it turns out it's almost certainly Iron Age. Now I know that in hindsight it sort of looks Iron Age. I've found things with this sort of design before, but to be fair, at the time I didn't know. I put it on the detectinghub.co.uk, information below, and they were a bit quiet actually, and that's often the case when you stump them. Now, I actually said that. I said, well, I've obviously stumped you because no one got back to me. And you shouldn't really expect a response from anyone if people don't know what it is, because they're not going to say, I don't know. And people like to show that they do know what something is. But anyhow, after a little bit of a nudge, people who do know about this sort of thing suggested that it might be Iron Age. And it's almost certainly something to do with horses and that sort of thing. And it might be even a part of what they call a terret ring. Now, I'm not sure about terret rings, and I don't really have time to go into it now, what I do know about them. But I believe there's something to do with keeping the reins in check on either a saddle or a chariot or something like that. And this one is decorated on both sides, which is quite nice as well. And that sort of supports the theory that it might be a terret ring. Anyway, look up terret ring and you'll soon find out about them. Kath also pointed me to a photograph of what was called a chariot brooch. And a very grand one at that. And you can see from the picture I'll show you now that the design is very, very similar. So anyway, that's what it is. It's almost certainly part of an Iron Age double-sided flat terret ring something or other. And I'm absolutely thrilled with it. It's a really lovely piece of very tactile bronze. I just love finding stuff like that. It's just the best. I mean, it's 2,000 years old. The Iron Age period in this country and the Roman period does tend to cross for about 100 years, in about 100, up to about 100 AD. But obviously it can go back way before that. Anyway, Tasky, come on Task, up. I got into trouble on my last video on HolzHammer Sagas for not featuring Tasky one time. So anyway, here he is. You'll see him a few times on, thanks Tasky. You'll see him a few times on HolzHammer LITE because he's been out with me a bit recently. But my God, do I have to keep an eye on him. Anyway, thank you very much for that, and let's go back to the fields. I'm doing a few more live digs than normal because of all the rain in the last few videos when I haven't been live digging. That's pretty faint, quite irony, but there's enough there of non-iron squeak, wispy squeak, to make it worth it. But if this is rubbish, we may just save some time and let me keep digging. Yeah, very faint. Let me keep digging, please. Please let me know what you thought about the last video, when most of it was back at headquarters because I couldn't film at all. It was just too wet. So I managed to film close-ups with my phone, but nothing else. So the whole lot was mainly from inside, showing you what I found, then going straight back. But my God, was it worth it? What a day. I think the best day I've ever had. I've been saying that a lot recently, but I've just been having some bloody good times of it. Well, that's not very encouraging. I'm pinpointing terribly today, and it's not very deep. So it's probably something horrible, and whatever it is, it's in here. Yeah, it looks like. I stopped digging these once I've dug a few at that. Like I start recognizing the sound. It's a 2.2 cartridge, 2.2 rifle casing. I can't dig those all day. It'll drive me mad. Might have to change my strategy somewhat. Gosh, there's a bit of a cold wind, but apart from that, it's really quite spring-like. And about bloody time. Quite deep this, and I always say it, you don't often come up here and not find one of these. And it is a Jetton, and it's a bloody lovely one, albeit I'm afraid to say very like most of the ones we find up here. I found a couple of quite early ones recently, and the odd English one, but that to me looks like a rose and orb type. It's in really lovely condition. That might be a bit of a different one actually. It's a bit bent, but it's only copper. We should be able to get that one out. So dates to about the 16th century. It's got lovely legend on it. You've got the rose on one side, I think, and the orb on the other. There are some stress marks on it now where I have bent it back, but again, lovely. What a lovely little coin. Well, that's nice as well. That's got some proper age to it. I think it's a Roman steel yard weight. That is early lead, and it will have a hole just there, I would have thought. Maybe not, maybe that, yes it does. Doesn't that go through? I don't have anything pokey on me. Here we go, let's see if this will. But I think that goes through. Or is it a gaming piece of sorts? Just don't know. But I don't think there is a hole, unless it goes through there and out a bit higher up. What a lovely piece of lead. What a lovely piece of lead. Well, would you believe it, after all the rubbish I've live dug today, I could hardly hear that. I can jolly well hear it now. It's lovely. And it was, look, I mean, that's a good 11-12 inches. I'm not surprised, having seen it now, but I haven't checked it out completely because it's just lying there. It's a jolly nice early thimble. So if that had been lying literally like that, then it's going to make a really nice sound. It's going to make a lovely sound. But I can't remember. I don't think it's stupidly early. It's probably 16th century, because it's got quite a uniform top, even though it is all cast in one piece. I don't think there's any inscription or anything, but my God, it's in good condition. Yes, there is. There's a mark or two on it. I think there might even be a date. My God. Maybe I'm just imagining that, but there's definitely a mark. It's got a crown, I think, there, but maybe not. Maybe not a date. That would be cool. But isn't that lovely? What a beautiful thing. Whew. Well, it's been amazing up here. What a beautiful day after all the rubbish weather. Wind's picked up a bit. It's getting a bit cooler. I hope you can hear me okay. I've just found the most fabulous Roman coin. A really pretty one, and I think quite an unusual one, because I think it's Constans. It's a soldier in the standards, but it's got a later, it's only got one standard, and I think the soldiers with the standard between one standard is a later one than the two standards. So I'm absolutely thrilled with that. It's a beautiful one, and it wasn't very deep. And I've also found a little William III. I think it must be a shilling, or is it a half shilling? I don't think it's a sixpence. It's one up from that, and it's in lovely condition. Well, it's in interesting condition. It's one up from a sixpence, I think. But really, but a really lovely one all the same. Not in the best condition, but nice enough. And I've got a signal down here, and I think we'll dig this and then call it a day. Now that's one up from a ring pull. For those of you who are bored about me talking about ring pulls in this field, that probably isn't one, but it might be a coin. I don't think it's going to be ancient. And then we'll call it a day. I'm going to go and look at a bit of arable. So this might not be the end of the film. Gosh, it's a bit ballsy. I don't like it. It's probably a rifle round. I found hundreds of those today. And would you believe it? It is. It's another one. It's been a bit of a mixed bag today. A couple of really cool things and a lot of rubbish. That's why I haven't really been live digging. I've been digging obvious signals and they've been a bit like this. Anyway, thank you very much for watching and see you next time.